I'm Andrew, and I'm a second year Masters of Clinical Audiology student and also a volunteer here at Hearing Matters. And I'm with John, who's a cochlear implant recipient, who's going to talk to us a bit about his hearing loss, his experience with his hearing loss, and what he has to say.
So, hi, I'm John Lui. I'm the National Manager of HearFu, which is a program that's now part of the Shepherd Center, and I'll be talking a little bit about that today.
So, John, can you share a bit about your hearing loss and how it's impacted your life?
Yeah, so I was born profoundly deaf in both ears and had hearing aids until I was 10, and then I was implanted with a cochlear implant in 1995. So, in the ways it's impacted my life, I guess it's a very different journey for me because I was born with hearing loss, and so I've never really known anything different. So it's a very different journey for those who have later diagnosis of hearing loss, or that have progressive hearing loss, or that have age-related hearing loss. So I would say, this hearing loss definitely has set me on a different path in life, but what life would have looked like if I didn't have hearing loss, that's impossible to.
Do you have any tips for or advice for others to improve their hearing experience?
I would say, if we're talking about people who are at risk of losing their hearing, I would say be aware of noise-induced hearing loss. Protect your ears during, for example, concerts or going to clubs and things like that. It's really important to protect your ears. And also, hearing loss is not as the disaster as many people make it out to be, because we know we're very lucky to be living in today's times with the advances in technology. So I would say it's important to ask for help and seek advice and, take action on it. Don't hide it for so long.
Yeah, I think what you said about going to that out of venues is pretty important as well. I think a lot of people don't really kind of expect what like the damage that can kind of happen there. So yeah, that's great advice. What suggestions would you offer to hearing people to help support those with hearing loss?
Well, I think it's important to, first of all, be aware of the spectrum of hearing loss, because there's so many different people with different entry points and journeys in the hearing loss spectrum and different levels of hearing loss. So it's important not to assume that this one person, just because they're deaf, meaning that they're using spoken language or wear cochlear implants or use sign language. So the best thing to do is probably ask that person what's the best thing and how they would like to communicate with you.
Are there any other areas you'd like to talk about?
I'd like to talk about, just mention the importance of deaf identity, because, if you have hearing loss later in life, it does change and affect, the way you communicate with others, and it can impact on, the social interactions, which is a big thing. And technology is not perfect, so, no matter how good the cochlear implants get, it's never going to be a perfect fix. So I think it's really important to really consider who you are as a person with hearing loss. And of course, deafness or hearing loss is not the totality of who you are. So I would say, it's important for people to connect with others in the same situations and to realise that they're not alone, especially young adults and teenagers.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a great point. So, John, can you please explain a bit about HearFu and how you're supporting people with hearing loss?
Yeah, so HearFu is a rather unique space. It was started in 2007 by a lady called Olivia Anderson, who is a graduate at the Shepherd Center. But growing up, she went through high school and university, and she was sort of like, where are the other people like me? And when I talk about like me, we're talking about those who use hearing devices and use spoken language. Because at the time when she went through the Shepherd Center, there was more of a divide between the sign language community and the spoken language community, which today, that divide is a lot less, and the barriers is much more porous, which is great to see. For example, there's people from the sign language community getting hearing devices and getting cochlear implants. and there's people who use spoken language, learning what's that, just as learning sign language, which is so it's really good to see. But the purpose of Here For You was to provide high school teenagers with hearing loss with a space where they can connect with their peers and also access mentoring from young deaf adult mentors who have been there through high school, so they have that power of insight and the experience. But more to that, it's also a space where deafness is removed as a point of difference. So we're helping them feel a little bit more comfortable with who they are in their hearing loss and their deaf identity to explore that in a safe space. And so they're not really focused on trying to fit in, being normal and worry about keeping up or being self-conscious about interrupting people to ask for clarification or to ask what the joke was or what the topic is. So it's a really important space that we do at Here For You. So since 2021, we've integrated with the Shepherd Center to then work on providing this pathway of support from 0 years of age all the way through early intervention to the teenage years and young adulthood. So that's what we're doing at Here For You.
That's great. I love that you guys are able to support people like that. And it's been going for a long time. So can you describe the kind of impact the program's had on people or some examples of what you've noticed?
Yeah, totally. So it's a journey. So when these teenagers come to us, you should see them on the first day of the program. They're sort of standing off to the corner, not wanting to talk to anyone, not really engaging. And it's not until their parents leave and they start looking around the room, sort of realizing, oh, you've got hearing aids, you've got cochlear implant like me, and they start to warm up a little bit more. But throughout the course of the program, you sort of see them coming out of their shell a little bit more, talking and sharing experiences and engaging in conversations. And we always joke that they're being too loud and rambunctious and going nuts in the room. We sort of like, well, that's a good thing. That means they're actually comfortable in that space. But often we find that teenagers, after they've been through the program and they've finished high school, they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, it was really great to have Here For You there. And I wish I had started earlier. Or some of our mentors say that they wish they had this in high school. And we always joke, with the mentors. It would have been nice to, hear that at that point in time. But it's really difficult for a teenager to sort of articulate what the benefits of accessing these supports are. And we've seen come back as mentors themselves in the future. So it's that nice life cycle you see coming in as a mentee, accessing the program, going through high school, leaving high school, going to workforce or tertiary education, and then it's nice to get an email or message from them saying, can I rejoin as a mentor? So then they have that experience to give back.
So if someone wanted to get involved or support Here For You, how would they go about that?
Well, they can just email us at any time. But basically, we will say, okay, if you have hearing loss, you've got that many experience, we'd love for you to come on board as a volunteer or a mentor. And, it's a valuable thing for them to give back because, it's not just for the teenagers' benefits, it's also beneficial to the volunteer or mentor because it allows them a space to sort of self-reflect and think about their experiences. So it's a beneficial relationship between the teenagers and the young adults. But if they're interested, they just send us an email at info@hereforyou.com.au. We can get back to them and find out a way for them to come support the program.